The emergency sirens blared throughout the command center as Commander Jin-Woo Kim rushed to his station. Red warning lights flashed across every screen, and officers moved with practiced urgency. This wasn't a drill. "Status report," Jin-Woo demanded, his voice steady despite the chaos. Lieutenant Su Jin-yoon looked up from her communications panel, her face pale. "Sir, we're receiving an emergency transmission from Proxima Colony. You need to see this." Jin-Woo nodded, and Su-jin transferred the feed to the main screen. The image flickered, showing a man with a bloodied face. Smoke filled the background, and distant explosions punctuated his words. "This is Governor Da-hyun Kang of Proxima Colony. We are under attack by an unknown alien force. They appeared without warning. Hundreds of ships. Our defense systems are failing. We need immediate military support." The governor coughed, and the image shook as something exploded nearby. "They call themselves the Drassi. We attempted peaceful contact, but they—" The transmission cut off briefly before returning. The governor was now moving, running through a damaged corridor. "They want our resources, our people. This isn't a misunderstanding. It's an invasion. We have less than a week before they overrun us completely. Please, Earth Command, send help before." The feed cut to static. Jin-Woo stood frozen, processing what he'd just witnessed. Proxima Centauri was humanity's first successful colony beyond the solar system. Established 15 years ago, it now housed over 50,000 people. And now those people were facing extinction. "Get me Admiral Park," Jin-Woo ordered, "and prepare a full tactical assessment of the Proxima system. I want to know everything about these Drassi." While his team worked, Jin-Woo studied the brief glimpses of the alien ships from the transmission. They were unlike anything humans had encountered before, organic-looking vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Their weapons had easily penetrated Proxima's defense shields, technology that Earth had considered unbreachable until now. Admiral Park arrived 20 minutes later, her uniform perfectly pressed despite the late hour. She was a small woman with steel-gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. "Commander Kim, explain the situation," she said, foregoing any greeting. Jin-Woo quickly laid out what they knew. The colony's defenses were designed to repel asteroids and space debris, with minimal military capability. They were never meant to withstand a full-scale attack. And these aliens, the Drassi, what do we know about them? Jin-Woo brought up the scans they'd managed to extract from the transmission. Not much. They're technologically advanced, possibly more so than us. Their ships use an unknown propulsion system, and they seem to have targeted our colony specifically. Admiral Park studied the images, her expression unreadable. "Recommendations? We need to respond immediately," Jin-Woo said firmly. "The colony has less than a week before they're overrun. Our conventional fleet would take at least 12 days to reach Proxima, even at maximum speed. So what do you suggest, Commander?" Jin-Woo took a deep breath. What he was about to propose would change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. "The Stormhawk, Admiral. It's time." A heavy silence fell over the command center. Even those who didn't know exactly what the Stormhawk was knew enough to understand its significance. Admiral Park's eyes narrowed. "The Stormhawk is a prototype, untested in actual combat. But it's our only hope of reaching Proxima in time," Jin-Woo countered. "Its experimental drive can get there in 3 days. And its weapons systems." He paused, aware of the classified nature of what he was discussing. Admiral Park nodded slightly, acknowledging his point. "Follow me, Commander." They walked to the Admiral's private office, where she activated a secure line to Earth Central Command. Within minutes, they were speaking with the 5 members of the Defense Council. Jin-Woo presented the situation clearly and concisely. The Proxima colony is facing extinction. 50,000 human lives will be lost without immediate intervention. Our only asset capable of reaching them in time is the EDS Stormhawk. Council President Hyun-min frowned. The Stormhawk was built as a deterrent, Commander. Once deployed, we reveal technology we cannot take back. With respect, Madam President, Jin Wu replied, "What good is a deterrent if we allow our first colony to fall? The message that would send to these Draci and any other hostile species would be clear, that humans can be attacked without consequence." Admiral Park stepped forward. "I support Commander Kim's assessment. The Stormhawk is ready. Its crew has been training for 3 years. If we're going to use it, this is precisely the scenario it was designed for." The council members exchanged glances, their faces grim with the weight of the decision before them. "What about diplomatic options?" asked Councillor Lee. "The transmission was clear," Jin Wu said. "The Draci have no interest in diplomacy. They attacked without provocation and ignored all attempts at communication." After several more questions, President Hun nodded slowly. "Very well. The Council authorizes deployment of the EDS Stormhawk to Proxima Centauri. Admiral Park, you will oversee the operation. Commander Kim, you will coordinate from Earth Command. May heaven help us all if this fails." The connection ended, and Admiral Park turned to Jin Wu. "Prepare the mission briefing. I'll inform Captain Hainul that her ship is being activated." Jin Wu nodded, relief and anxiety flooding through him in equal measure. The Stormhawk represented humanity's greatest technological achievement, and its most terrible weapon. Built in secret over the past decade, it incorporated technologies that most people believed were still theoretical. As Jin Wu returned to the command center, the enormity of what was happening struck him. Humanity had just made first contact with an alien species, and it had gone horribly wrong. Now they were about to reveal their most advanced warship in response. "Lieutenant Yoon," he called out. "Contact Stormhawk Base. Authorization code Phoenix Rising." Su Jin's eyes widened, but she quickly entered the code. "Message sent, sir." Minutes later, confirmation came through. "Stormhawk acknowledges. Deployment procedures initiated." Admiral Park stood beside Jin Wu, watching as the status updates began flowing in. "This is it, Commander. There's no going back now." "No, sir," Jin Wu agreed quietly. "For better or worse, everything changes today." In the orbital shipyard hidden on the far side of the moon, lights began to illuminate the sleek, black form of the EDS Stormhawk as it awakened from its long sleep. The moment humanity had prepared for it finally arrived. Captain Hainul Lee stood in the observation deck of Luna Base, staring at the ship that would soon carry her and her crew across the stars. The EDS Stormhawk sat in its orbital dock, gleaming under artificial lights. Unlike other Earth vessels, its hull featured no visible weapons, just smooth black metal that seemed to drink in light rather than reflect it. "Beautiful, isn't she?" asked Admiral Park, who had come to stand beside Hainul. "Beautiful and deadly," Hainul replied. "Like a hidden knife." The Admiral nodded. 5 years of your life, Captain. Was it worth it?" Hainul thought about the countless simulations, the endless training exercises, the nights spent studying theoretical physics that pushed the boundaries of human understanding. All for this moment. "We're about to find out," she said. The shuttle ride from Luna Base to the Stormhawk took less than an hour. As they approached, Hainul marveled at the true scale of the vessel. At 800 meters long, it dwarfed every other ship in Earth's fleet. Yet despite its size, it had a strange grace to it, sleek, with curves that seemed impossible for something built in space. The docking bay opened like a mouth, swallowing their shuttle. Inside, everything was pristine. The walls glowed with soft blue light, guiding them through the ship's massive interior. Chief Engineer Ta Min Song was waiting when Hainul stepped off the shuttle. "Captain on deck," he called, standing at attention. Hainul waved away the formality. "Status report, Ta Min." "All systems green," he replied with barely contained excitement. "The quantum drive is fully calibrated. We can jump as soon as the crew is aboard." "And the solar collectors?" Ta Min grinned. tested at 98% efficiency yesterday. We can absorb enough energy from Proxima Centauri to power the main weapon twice over. Hanul nodded, satisfied. Good. Let's get to the bridge. As they walked through the ship's corridors, crew members rushed to their stations. All 120 of them had been training together for years, preparing for a mission they hoped would never come. Now that it had, there was no hesitation, only determined focus. The bridge of the Stormhawk looked nothing like traditional starship command centers. Instead of rows of consoles facing forward, it was arranged in a circle, with the captain's chair at the center. Holographic displays could materialize anywhere, allowing for complete situational awareness. Security Chief Mai Sun Kang looked up as He Newell entered. Weapons systems check complete, Captain. All offensive and defensive measures are operational. Thank you, my son, He Newell said. Is everyone else ready? Around the bridge, her senior officers nodded. Navigation Officer Jun Ho Baek, Communications Specialist Yun Ji Choi, and Science Officer Dong Hyun Jang. All the best in their fields, all chosen specifically for this mission. Han Newell took her seat at the center of the bridge. Ship-wide communication, please. Yun Ji tapped her console. Channel open, Captain. Han Newell took a deep breath. This is Captain Lee. In 10 minutes, we will depart on the most important mission in human history. 50,000 of our people are under attack at Proxima Colony. We are their only hope. She paused, letting her words sink in. You all know what the Stormhawk is capable of. You know the technologies we carry, technologies no human ship has ever deployed in combat. Stormhawk is humanity's best-kept secret, and now it's time to reveal it. Hanul looked around at her crew, meeting their eyes one by one. We've trained for this. We're ready. Make your final preparations. Lee out. As the communication ended, He Newell turned to Tommen. Start the pre-jump sequence. The ship hummed to life around them. Displays showed the status of every system. All green, all ready. Captain, Jun Ho called from navigation. Admiral Park is hailing us. On screen. He Newell ordered. Admiral Park's face appeared before them. Captain Lee, you are cleared for departure. The Defense Council has authorized full use of all Stormhawk systems at your discretion. Understood, Admiral. One more thing, Captain. The Admiral's expression grew solemn. The technology aboard your ship could change the course of human history. Use it wisely. Hanul nodded. We won't let Earth down, Admiral. Godspeed, Stormhawk. Park out. The display vanished, leaving He Newell alone with her thoughts for a moment. Then she straightened in her chair. Release docking clamps, she ordered. With a series of heavy thuds, the massive arms holding the Stormhawk in place retracted. Maneuvering thrusters, 1/4 power, take us clear of the dock. The ship moved with surprising grace for its size, sliding out of the orbital facility that had been its home for years. As they cleared the structure, Earth came into view, blue and beautiful against the blackness of space. Set course for the jump point, He Newell said. Standard drive until we're clear of the lunar orbit. Course set, Jun Ho confirmed. ETA to jump point, 17 minutes. As the Stormhawk accelerated, He Newell felt a flutter of anticipation. The quantum drive was the most experimental of the ship's many advanced systems. In theory, it could fold space, allowing for travel far faster than traditional FTL engines. In practice, it had only been tested in unmanned drones. Tommen, status of the quantum drive. All parameters nominal, Captain. Core temperature stable. Fold calculations complete. My son spoke up from her station. Captain, we're being scanned by multiple civilian vessels and satellites. Word of our departure is spreading. Hanul wasn't surprised. A ship the size of the Stormhawk couldn't leave Earth orbit unnoticed, despite its stealth capabilities. Let them look, she said. Soon enough, the Drassy will be looking too. The minutes ticked by as they approached the jump point, a predetermined location far enough from Earth's gravity well to safely activate the quantum drive. Jump point reached, Junho announced. We are go for quantum fold. Hanul took a final look at Earth through the view screen. Then she turned to face her crew. Activate quantum drive. Ta Nin's fingers danced across his console. Initiating spacefold. Core powering up. Reaching critical resonance. Fold stable. We have a clean tunnel. The view outside shifted, stars stretching into lines as space itself bent around the ship. A blue glow enveloped the Stormhawk, spreading from the engine section to encompass the entire vessel. Hold on, everyone, Hanul said calmly. There was a moment of intense pressure, as if the entire universe was squeezing down on them. Then, with a flash of brilliant blue light, the Stormhawk vanished from Earth's solar system. Inside, the crew felt a brief sensation of falling in all directions at once. Then everything stabilized. Status report. Hanul called out, her voice steady despite the disorientation she felt. Quantum fold successful, Ta Min reported, his voice filled with wonder. We're in the fold space, all systems functioning normally. Estimated arrival at Proxima Centauri. Hanul asked. Junho checked his readings. 3 days, 4 hours, Captain. Just as calculated. Hanul nodded, relief washing through her. The most experimental part of their journey had worked perfectly. Well done, everyone, she said. Now we prepare for what comes next. As her crew returned to their duties, Hanul gazed at the strange, shifting blue light that surrounded the ship, the visual manifestation of folded space. Somewhere ahead lay Proxima Centauri and the Drassy fleet that threatened humanity's first colony. And when they arrived, the Stormhawk would show the galaxy exactly what humans were capable of. The blue tunnel of folded space collapsed around the Stormhawk with a flash of light. The ship emerged into normal space, its systems quickly adjusting after 3 days in quantum transit. Captain Hanul Lee blinked as the view screens activated, showing the Proxima Centauri system. What she saw made her blood run cold. Status report, she ordered, keeping her voice steady despite the horror unfolding before them. All systems normal after quantum transit, reported engineer Ta Min Song from his station. Ship integrity at 100%. But Hanul barely heard him. Her eyes were fixed on the devastation visible in the screens. When Stormhawk emerged from hyperspace, the Proxima system was barely recognizable. Orbital stations burned. The colony below showed massive impact craters. What had once been humanity's pride, its first interstellar colony, was now a battlefield. Scan for survivors, Hanul ordered. Science officer Donghyun Jang worked quickly at his console. I'm detecting life signs on the planet's surface, Captain. Approximately 12,000 human signatures, mostly concentrated in the central dome and emergency shelters. That's less than a quarter of the original population. Hanul's jaw tightened. And the rest? Unknown, Donghyun said quietly. There are unusual energy signatures coming from those Drassy ships. They might be containing people. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. The Drassy weren't just killing. They were taking prisoners. Drassy fleet detected, announced Navigation Officer Jaiho Yang, breaking the silence. 27 vessels. They're advancing toward us. Hanul studied the tactical display. The alien ships moved in a precise formation, spreading out to surround the Stormhawk. Their design was even stranger up close than in the transmissions, organic-looking vessels with hulls that seemed to pulse with internal light. Analysis of Drassy weaponry, Hanul requested. Security Chief My Sun Kang frowned at her readings. Energy weapons, similar to our plasma cannons but more efficient. Their largest ships carry something that appears to be a gravity weapon. It created those impact craters on the colony surface. Defensive capabilities. Unknown, Captain. Their hulls absorb most of our scans. Hanul nodded, taking in the information. Distance to closest Drassy vessel. 50,000 kilometers in closing. Jaiho reported. At their current speed, weapons range in 3 minutes. Haenul's mind raced through options. The Stormhawk was powerful, but they were facing 27 enemy ships. They needed every advantage. "Deploy solar wings," she ordered. Ta Min looked up in surprise. "Captain, the solar collection system hasn't been tested in combat conditions." "Now's the time." Ta Min. "Execute." The engineer nodded and entered the sequence. Outside, the smooth sides of the Stormhawk began to transform. Sections of the hull slid apart, revealing what had been hidden beneath. The sides of the Stormhawk opened like a blooming flower, revealing reflective panels that captured the star's energy. As they extended fully, the ship took on a new form, less like a vessel of war and more like a celestial being with golden wings spread wide. Proxima Centauri's light struck the panels, and the ship's energy reserves began to climb rapidly. "Solar collection at 30% and rising," Ta Min reported, his voice filled with awe at seeing the system working at full capacity. "Main weapon can be charged in 6 minutes." "They've noticed our transformation," my son said. "Drassy ships are adjusting their approach. They're spreading out further, approaching more cautiously." Haenul smiled grimly. "Good. Let them worry. They're hailing us," Communications Officer Yunji Choi reported. "Audio only." "Let them look," Haenul replied. "And wonder." She paused, then added, "Put it through." A harsh, clicking voice filled the bridge, translated by the ship's computers. "Unknown vessel, this system is now under Drassy control. Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded. Resistance will result in destruction." Haenul signaled to Yunji to mute their end of the communication. "Tactical assessment, my son. Can we take them?" The security chief studied her console. "Their ships are individually less powerful than the Stormhawk, but together they have the advantage. If we can eliminate their 3 capital ships quickly, the smaller vessels might retreat." "Dong Hyun, what can you tell me about their biology from the scans?" The science officer looked up from his readouts. "They appear to be silicon-based life forms, Captain. Their ships maintain an internal atmosphere with high pressure and temperature, nearly 3 times Earth normal. It suggests they evolved on a heavy world close to their star." Haenul absorbed this information. "So they're used to extreme heat. Interesting." She turned to Ta Min. "Status of solar collection. 65% and climbing, Captain. Energy reserves sufficient for shield operation at maximum capacity." "Unmute the channel, Yunji." Haenul stood from her chair, facing the main view screen where a tactical display showed the approaching Drassy fleet. "This is Captain Haenul Lee of the Earth defense ship Stormhawk. You have attacked a human colony without provocation, killed our people, and taken prisoners. We demand your immediate surrender and the release of all human captives." The response came quickly, a sound that might have been laughter. "Your ship is alone, human. You have no understanding of your situation. The Drassy Collective requires your world's resources and your species for study. Submit now or be destroyed like the others who resisted." Haenul's expression hardened. "Others? So we're not the first. Many worlds have fallen to the Collective. Yours will be no different." "We'll see about that," Haenul said quietly. She signaled Yunji to end the transmission, then addressed her crew. "Battle stations. Shields to maximum. Prepare the main weapon for firing." Throughout the ship, warning klaxons sounded as crew members rushed to their combat positions. The Stormhawk's interior lighting shifted to a deep red, indicating battle readiness. "Drassy ships are powering weapons," my son reported. "They're moving to surround us." "Hold position," Haenul ordered. "Continue solar collection." The enemy vessels drew closer, their organic hulls glowing with building energy. The first shots came from 3 smaller ships, beams of green energy that struck the Stormhawk's shields. "Shields holding at 98%. Ta Min reported. No damage." Haenul nodded. "Return fire, my son." Tactical lasers only. I want to see how their shields respond. The Stormhawk's defensive weapons activated, small, precise lasers that targeted the 3 attacking ships. 2 of the beams were absorbed by what appeared to be energy shields, but the third cut through, slicing into one vessel's hull. Direct hit on target 3, my son announced. Their shields appear inconsistent, stronger in some sections than others. Note the pattern, Haynewell said. Find the weak points. More Drassy ships opened fire, their combined attack much stronger than before. The Stormhawk shuddered under the impact. Shields at 85%, Min called out. Solar collection at 87%. Haynewell watched as the enemy capital ships moved into formation, preparing to fire their main weapons. The moment of truth was approaching. Target their lead vessel, she ordered. Prepare to fire the solar cannon at my command. The crew worked with practiced efficiency, directing the collected solar energy into the ship's main weapon. Outside, the solar wings glowed with increasing intensity as they channeled Proxima Centauri's power. Target locked. My son confirmed. Main weapon charged and ready. Haynewell took a deep breath. This was it, the moment that would reveal whether humanity's greatest technological achievement would be enough against this alien threat. Fire, she commanded. From the front of the Stormhawk, a beam of concentrated stellar energy erupted, so bright it was painful to look at even through filtered screens. It struck the lead Drassy ship dead center. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the alien vessel's hull began to glow, growing brighter and brighter until, with a silent flash, it simply disintegrated. Silence fell across the Stormhawk's bridge. Then Jeho whispered, "It worked." Haynewell allowed herself a small smile. 1 down, 26 to go. The destruction of the lead Drassy ship sent shockwaves through the alien fleet. Their tight formation scattered as the remaining vessels adjusted their approach. For several moments, they fired no weapons, almost as if they were reassessing their strategy. "They're regrouping," my son reported from her security station. New formation pattern emerging. Haynewell studied the tactical display. The Drassy ships were arranging themselves in a spherical formation around the Stormhawk, keeping their distance while maintaining overlapping fields of fire. Solar wings fully extended and operating at peak efficiency, Min announced. Energy reserves at 92%. Good, Haynewell replied. How long until we can fire the main cannon again? 3 minutes to full recharge, Captain. Haynewell nodded, her mind racing through tactical options. The Stormhawk was never designed to fight multiple enemies simultaneously. Its main weapon was powerful but took time to recharge. They needed to buy that time. Jeho, prepare evasive pattern Delta. Be ready on my mark. Pattern Delta programmed and ready, Captain. The Drassy commander's voice crackled through the bridge speakers. Human vessel, surrender or be destroyed. The translation software couldn't capture emotion, but the message carried a new urgency. Your weapon is impressive, but you are still outnumbered. You cannot defeat us all. Haynewell caught my son's eye and tapped her tactical display, highlighting 2 of the larger Drassy ships. The security chief nodded in understanding. Activate the Sunforge, Haynewell ordered, ignoring the alien commander. Min's hands flew across his control panel. Sunforge activating, redirecting solar collection to central core. The solar wings glowed brighter as they channeled the star's energy into the ship's core. The Stormhawk began to pulse with blinding light, like a heartbeat growing stronger with each passing second. Energy buildup detected in multiple enemy vessels, Donghyun warned. They're preparing to fire simultaneously. Haynewell remained calm. My son, prepare defensive lasers. Target their weapon ports specifically. Jeho, initiate evasive pattern on my mark. The crew worked with focused intensity, the training of 5 years guiding their actions. Outside, the Drassy fleet began to move, their ships rotating to bring weapons to bear. They're firing. My son called out. Green beams of energy shot from a dozen Drassy ships, converging on the Stormhawk's position. "Mark," Hay-Newell ordered. The human ship moved with surprising speed for its size, diving sharply just as the alien weapons fired. Most of the beams missed entirely. A few struck the shields, which flared golden under the impact. When the first Drassy ship fired directly at them, the beam simply disappeared into the Stormhawk's hull. The unique absorption matrix in the ship's armor converted the enemy's weapon energy directly into the Stormhawk's power reserves. "Energy absorption successful," Min reported with excitement. "Reserves now at 97%. "They just made us stronger," my son said, a fierce grin on her face. Newell nodded. "Then let's show them our appreciation." Sunforge status. "Ready to fire, Captain." "Target their central command vessel and fire." The Stormhawk's main weapon discharged again. A concentrated beam of stellar energy lanced out, cutting the attacking ship in half. The two pieces drifted apart, internal explosions rippling through both sections before they went dark. "Second target," Hay-Newell ordered immediately. My son adjusted the targeting. "Locked on third capital ship. Fire secondary pulse." A smaller but still devastating beam shot from the Stormhawk, catching another large Drassy vessel. This one didn't split apart, but instead crumpled inward, its hull collapsing as if being crushed by an invisible hand. "How is that possible?" Jaiho asked, staring at the tactical display. "The secondary pulse shouldn't be that powerful." "It's not just solar energy," Min explained quickly. "The Sunforge combines it with the absorbed enemy weapon energy, amplifying the effect. We're using their own attacks against them." The Drassy fleet's response was immediate and chaotic. Some ships pressed the attack, firing desperately at the Stormhawk. Others began to retreat, putting distance between themselves and the human vessel. The Stormhawk moved with impossible speed, dancing between enemy vessels while firing beams that no shield could withstand. The defensive lasers picked off smaller ships with surgical precision, while the main cannon recharged. "Captain, I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the remaining Drassy capital ship," Donghyun reported urgently. "They appear to be charging some kind of gravity weapon." Newell frowned. "The same weapon that created those craters on the colony." "Yes, but the energy signature is much stronger. They must be overcharging it." "How long until they can fire?" "Approximately 40 seconds. Newell turned to Min. "Status of the Sunforge." "Still recharging. 1 minute, 15 seconds until ready." "Not fast enough. They needed a different approach." "Jaiho, set course directly for that capital ship. Maximum speed." The navigation officer looked startled, but quickly entered the commands. "Course set, Captain." "My son, direct all available energy to forward shields." Min, prepare for proximity absorption." The crew exchanged nervous glances, but carried out their orders. The Stormhawk surged forward, accelerating toward the largest remaining Drassy vessel. "They're adjusting their gravity weapon to track us," Donghyun warned. 15 seconds to discharge." "Hold course," Hay-Newell ordered, her voice steady despite the risk they were taking. The Stormhawk streaked across space, dodging fire from smaller enemy ships as it closed in on its target. The Drassy capital ship loomed larger in their view screen, its organic hull pulsing with building energy. 10 seconds to weapon discharge. Donghyun counted. 8, 7. "All hands, brace for impact," Hay-Newell announced ship-wide. Then, to her bridge crew, "Proximity absorption ready." "Ready, Captain," Min confirmed, his voice tense. 5, 4, Donghyun continued. "Activate now." A translucent field extended from the Stormhawk's bow, reaching out toward the Drassy ship just as its gravity weapon fired. The distortion wave of twisted spacetime met the absorption field halfway between the ships. For a moment, the Stormhawk shuddered violently. Warning lights flashed across every console. Then, remarkably, the gravity distortion began to collapse, drawn into the human ship's specialized field. Absorption at maximum capacity. Ta-Min shouted over the groaning of the ship's structure. Containment holding at 87%. Divert to Sunforge. Haynul ordered. Use it all. The Stormhawk's solar wings pulsed with new energy, not just solar power now, but the captured gravity weapon's energy as well. The ship began to glow so brightly that the nearby Drassy vessels veered away, as if fleeing the light itself. Firing solution. Haynul asked, her voice calm despite the chaos. Ready, my son replied. All remaining Drassy ships targeted. Haynul took a deep breath. Fire. What emerged from the Stormhawk wasn't a single beam, but a radial pulse that expanded outward in all directions. Where it touched Drassy ships, their hulls simply collapsed, crushed by the same gravity weapon they had tried to use against the humans. In seconds, it was over. Of the 27 ships that had faced the Stormhawk, only 7 remained, all of them small scouts now retreating at maximum speed. Should we pursue? My son asked, fingers hovering over her weapon's controls. Haynul shook her head. No, let them go. She stood from her command chair, surveying the damage reports flowing in. They'll carry the message better than we ever could. The bridge crew looked up at their captain, exhaustion and exhilaration mingling on their faces. Status of the colony? Haynul asked, turning to Dong-hyun. Life signs stable. No further bombardment detected. The science officer looked up, relief evident in his expression. We made it in time, Captain. Haynul nodded, allowing herself a small smile. Begin rescue operations immediately, and keep sensors locked on those retreating ships. I want to know where they're going. As the crew turned to their tasks, Haynul gazed at the view screen, watching the fleeing Drassy vessels. The tide had turned, not just for this battle, but perhaps for humanity's place in the galaxy. The bridge of the Stormhawk fell silent as the final energy pulse faded. Through the main view screen, the crew watched as debris from the destroyed Drassy ships drifted in the emptiness of space. Of the mighty fleet that had terrorized Proxima Colony, only a handful of small vessels remained. They're retreating, Jaiho announced, disbelief in his voice. He checked his readings again to be sure. Confirmed. The remaining 7 ships are accelerating away from Proxima at maximum speed. On the view screen, the remaining Drassy ships accelerated away from Proxima, leaving behind their damaged vessels and the wreckage of their fleet. Their formation was ragged, all military precision abandoned in their haste to escape. Captain Haynul stood from her command chair, her uniform rumpled but her posture still straight and proud. Damage report, she ordered. Ta-Min checked his engineering console. Minor structural damage to sections 3 and 7. The solar wings are operating at 70% efficiency. Sunforge needs time to cool down before we can use it again. He looked up with a tired smile. But we're still flying, Captain. Haynul nodded. Casualties. 5 injured, no deaths, my son reported. Medical teams are responding. It seemed impossible. They had faced an enemy fleet of 27 ships and emerged victorious with only 5 injuries. The Stormhawk had proven even more formidable than its designers had hoped. Begin rescue operations immediately, Haynul ordered. Jaiho, move us into low orbit over the main colony dome. Dong-hyun, continue scanning for survivors both on the surface and in space. There may be escape pods from the orbital stations. The crew moved with renewed purpose, the fatigue of battle pushed aside by the knowledge that their people needed help. Intercept their communications, Haynul ordered, turning to Eunji at the communications station. I want to know what those retreating ships are saying to each other. Eunji worked her console for a moment, her fingers dancing over the controls as she isolated the alien transmissions. The ship's AI translated the strange clicking and humming of the Drassy language in real time. She looked up with wide eyes. They're sending warnings throughout their network. They're calling us Star Eaters. A murmur went through the bridge crew. Star Eaters, a name born of fear and awe. They're transmitting images of the Stormhawk to their home fleet, Yunji continued. The messages contain warnings to avoid all human systems. She paused, listening to more translations. They say we consume stars and turn their power against our enemies. Hanul nodded. Good. Let the galaxy know that humanity doesn't stand alone. We stand with the power of stars at our command. The next 24 hours passed in a blur of activity. Rescue shuttles descended to the colony surface, bringing supplies and evacuating the injured. The Stormhawk's medical bay quickly filled beyond capacity, forcing the crew to convert cargo holds into additional treatment areas. Hanul walked through these makeshift wards, speaking with survivors and offering what comfort she could. The stories she heard filled her with both sorrow and anger. Tales of Drassy ships appearing without warning, of colonists taken alive, of others killed when they resisted. Captain, Donghyun called over the communication system. We found something you need to see. Hanul returned to the bridge, where the science officer waited with Governor Dahyun Kang, the man whose distress call had started their mission. The governor looked haggard, his face lined with exhaustion and grief, but determination still burned in his eyes. We've located the Drassy prison ships, Donghyun explained, bringing up a display of a nearby asteroid field. They abandoned 3 vessels when they retreated. Our scans show approximately 18,000 human life signs aboard. Survivors? Hanul asked, hope rising in her chest. Governor Kang nodded. The Drassy were taking people alive, those with technical skills, scientists, engineers. They seemed to be collecting us. For what purpose? Unknown, Donghyun said. But based on recovered data from their systems, the Drassy have done this before to other species. Hanul's expression hardened. Prepare boarding teams. We're bringing our people home. Over the next 3 days, the Stormhawk coordinated the rescue of thousands of captured colonists. The Drassy prison ships were nightmarish places, dark, hot chambers designed for alien biology and filled with strange equipment. Many of the captives were traumatized, some injured from resistance or Drassy experiments. As the last shuttle of survivors docked with the Stormhawk, Hanul received an urgent message from Earth. Captain, Admiral Park's face appeared on the secure channel. Your mission telemetry has been analyzed. The Defense Council is astonished by what you've accomplished. Thank you, Admiral. The Stormhawk performed beyond expectations. Indeed, the Admiral looked down at something off-screen, then back up with an uncharacteristic smile. The Council has made a decision. You are to remain at Proxima with the Stormhawk as the colony rebuilds. 2 additional ships are being outfitted with similar technology and will join you within 6 months. Hanul raised an eyebrow. A permanent defense force. More than that, Captain. A message to the galaxy. Admiral Park's expression grew serious. We've intercepted communications from other species in nearby systems. Word of the Star Eaters is spreading quickly. 3 different non-human civilizations have already reached out through diplomatic channels, seeking information about Earth. First contact, Hanul whispered. But because of war, not peace. Not entirely. The Admiral's image flickered slightly. One species, calling themselves the Northy, claim they too have faced Drassy aggression. They're proposing an alliance. The implications were staggering. Humanity, previously alone and vulnerable in the cosmos, was suddenly being recognized as a power to be respected, perhaps even feared. 1 week after the battle, Hanul stood in the colony's rebuilt communication center. Through the large windows, she could see the Stormhawk in orbit, its black hull gleaming in Proxima Centauri's light. Below, reconstruction efforts were already showing progress as new buildings rose from the rubble. Governor Kang joined her, looking out at his recovering colony. Do you think they'll come back? The Drassy? No, Hanul said with quiet confidence. At least not for a very long time. A young communications officer approached them, tablet in hand. "Captain, we've intercepted something interesting. A trading vessel from an unknown species passed through the outer system. They altered course when they detected the Stormhawk. Hostile." Hey Newell asked. "No, Mom. They sent a simple message in multiple formats, hoping we could understand one. Our computers translated it." He handed her the tablet. The message was brief. "We greet the Star Eaters with respect and offer peaceful passage." Newell smiled as she handed the tablet back. "Send a reply. Tell them the Star Eaters welcome peaceful visitors to human space." As the officer hurried away, Governor Kang turned to her. "Star Eaters, is that who we are now?" "It's who they think we are," Hey Newell replied. "And perhaps that's enough." In the months that followed, as rescue operations became rebuilding efforts, word continued to spread throughout the nearby star systems. Alien vessels occasionally appeared at the edges of the Proxima system, observing from a distance before departing. None approached with hostile intent. And so began humanity's rise among the stars, not through conquest, but through the fear their enemies felt when they glimpsed the Stormhawk on their sensors and flowed in terror. The legend of the Star Eaters grew with each telling, transforming from a desperate last stand into a declaration of humanity's place in the cosmos. Earth's first colony survived, its people rebuilt, and in orbit above them, the black ship with solar wings kept watch, a guardian powered by stars, and now known throughout the galaxy. They came as conquerors, the stories said, but fled as prey when they saw what humans could do. And in the vastness of space, other species took note and kept their distance from the worlds where humans dwelled. The end.